Hi, here we are with the next episode of Writers and Writing. And today we have Chinmay Tumbe as our guest writer. And I'll just take a minute, Chinmay, to do your formal introduction and then we can move on to the conversation. Is that okay with you?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, guys, Chinmay Tumbe is passionate about migration, cities, and history. Is currently a faculty member at IIM Ahmedabad. He's an alumnus of London School of Economics, IIM Bangalore, and has been a faculty member at TIS Hyderabad. His first book, India Moving, A History of Migration, was published in 2018, and Age of Pandemics is a 2020 release. So we can say safely that Chinmay has been super productive during COVID. It talks about, how pandemics like cholera, plague, influenza, which claimed so many lives and were so were large scale devastations. They have impacted the world, and how human civilization has shaped up for that matter, and how India has been at the epicenter of it all. And what are the learnings that like people should take from the devastation that was wreaked at that point of time to address situations like we have right now with the COVID pandemic. So that in very short is what the book is about. But we will move on to the conversation where you'll get to know a little bit more about Chinmay, the writer, the author himself. So Chinmay, a very quick warm up. Where are you currently, physically and mentally?
Physically, right now, I'm in my office in the campus of the Indian Institute of Management in Ahmedabad, where I work. So in Western India, in the state of Gujarat.
Okay.
Mentally, I am just outside my classroom hours, just reeling from a class, but also in a nice space because after having worked the whole year on this book, finally relieved that it's finally come out. I really wanted the book out in 2020, so very happy that it's come out.
It's super topical, and there couldn't have been a better time for it.
I know. Yeah.
The other question, the first book was on migration. This one is on pandemic. So what's your jam with these kind of like somber topics?
Actually, there is a common thread, believe it or not, and that thread is demography. Demography has three things. Population can change for three reasons. One is fertility or births, which is not part of migration or pandemics. The second is deaths, and that's part of pandemics. And the third is migration. So population can change because of birth, death, and migration. And both these books are on two pillars of that. One is on mass mortality, and one is on mass migration. So in a way, there is a common thread, between the two books. But there's also a more fundamental way, that is, you cannot have a pandemic without some migration. So it's almost, you need the virus to move, and that moves through people. So in a way, and that's why when we decided to shut our border, we got a migration crisis. So it's fundamentally related in many ways, which often people can't see. Though I'm essentially a migration scholar, I think this year I realized how important it was to get pandemics back into our historical consciousness.
Amazing. So the next question, every writer wants his book to travel to a certain sort of audience or towards a certain effect. So what do you hope for your books to achieve at a societal and an individual level?
I think a lot of these things are about India as a country, about our history. And of course, Indian history is always very, very contested, makes it to the headlines almost every day. So my sense is to make history more accessible and a kind of reflection of the place that we live in. And often the best compliments I get are something like, oh, I had never thought of our country in that way. So for example, when I wrote on migration, a lot of people say, you wrote about women as migrants when they move upon marriage. That's the most basic form of migration, but most people don't look at it that way. And so it's just to kind of open up these sparks in people of looking at the society or the economy that we live in a very different way. And so whenever I get a feedback on that, I feel happy that it's making people look at certain things in potentially a different way.
Super thoughtful. The other question is, you teach, right? And you write as well. So which comes first for you, as if it were a matter of interest? I'm not, asking you to prioritize either, but between writing and teaching, what comes first?
It's a very tough question. I love to do both. That's why I'm in the field of academia where we both write and teach. But I must say, until 2018, I would have clearly said I'm simply loving writing. And I've got the privilege and opportunity to work in an institution where out of 12 months in a year, I literally teach for very few months and the rest opens up time. So I would say for a few months of the year, I'm completely immersed in teaching, like I'm right now. And then for a few months of the year, I'm completely immersed in writing. So very difficult question. But in terms of what comes first, in the world of pandemics, actually the writing came first, because next semester I'm actually going to teach a course called pandemics. And so in this case, clearly the writing preceded the teaching.
Great. So you have all your groundwork laid down already for
Yeah.
your course. Great. And talking about, how you're loving writing, so should we expect like a sequel to this book? Because this book is, it applies to the date range 1817 to 1920. So is there a sequel in the works?
Well, if it was truly an age of pandemics after that, maybe. But as of now, there is, no plan. But there is some broad idea of, what my next projects will, how they will take shape. So that is there, but I'm not going to talk about that. But maybe there is a sequel, maybe there's not. I'll leave it as a suspense.
Okay, cool. Great to know that your writer's brain is at work and you're taking immense pleasure in the process.
Absolutely.
So, okay. Now moving on to, like you as a reader. So tell me about, like who are, if you were to say, list down a few names of Indian writers, whatever be the genre or topic, irrespective of that, but writers that you hold on to, who are your favorites, so to say, if you were to list down some names.
Yeah, I mean, there are, of course, lots of potential names, but I'll list down a few. The first is probably a name which none of you have heard of, which is unfortunate, is a person called Tirthankar Roy. Tirthankar Roy is an economic historian of India who has written, almost a book every year. Much of that writing is in the academic press, but occasionally he has also written like a book on the East India Company with a sort of a trade press. I think I have read virtually everything Tirthankar Roy has written over the past decade, and that's a lot of books. And it's really opens up new ways of thinking of our own history from an economic sort of lens. So definitely highly recommend Tirthankar Roy to readers. The style is simple. Even the academic books are very easy to understand. And so it's got a good language. It's got a nice way, because a lot of non-fiction writing needs a style of argumentation. And I like the way he builds up arguments, looking at things on both sides and then presenting his point of view. I think that's a very nice way to present. So Tirthankar Roy is first up on my list for sure. Always enjoyed writing in terms of non-fiction and prose is Ramchandra Guha, who's written these really big volumes. I remember reading India After Gandhi. It took me 7 days, literally doing nothing else. I was, in fact, based in Italy. So I'm going to complain that I spent 7 days in Italy instead of roaming around Italy. I spent 7 days when I was working there, just reading Ramchandra Guha's India After Gandhi, literally every line, every footnote, and absolutely loved the book. And since then, I've tried to read everything that he's written. I think he's come out with a book on cricket now.
Yes.
So I'm very excited to read that, because I share a common interest in cricket as well. So Ramchandra Guha, Tirthankar Roy, definitely. In more recent years, hugely drawn to the writing of Shanta Gokhale. And especially what Shanta Gokhale has done is she's written a book, for example, right now in Shivaji Park, which is a place where I was born. So I can relate with that. She's got her own autobiography. And of course, she's known for various other works, but the translation of one book in particular, this is how the book looks. It's called Smriti Chitre. And it's the memoirs of a spirited wife, as it's called. Lakshmibai Tilak wrote this book in Marathi, but what Shanta Gokhale has kind of done is to translate it into English. You might have never thought of a memoir of someone in the late 19th century. Turns out this is probably the only first-hand account of a person on both the plague pandemic and the influenza pandemic. And I don't think Shanta herself knew that she was writing about influenza, because it was called Manmodi back then. So it's referred to in the book as Manmodi, but it's actually what we call as the influenza of 1918. So basically, this book became a huge part of my current book on pandemics, very unknowingly. I picked it up, 2 years back, and it's become a huge part of my book. So Tirthankar Roy, Ramchandra Guha, Shanta Gokhale, definitely among the top three. Then, of course,
interesting.
Yeah.
And you were going to say another?
I think in terms of new age writing, young writers, I would mark out three. One is, of course, Manu Pillai, who's been writing very prolific, and he's been writing very good books. The other is Anshul Malhotra, who's got this wonderful book out on partition called Remnants of a Separation. So this is, this is Anshul's book, which is called The Remnants of Separation. And then there's Manu's book. One of them is called Rebel Sultans. There's a very good writer now, by the name Suraj Yengde. He's written a part memoir called Caste Matters. He's got an edited volume on Ambedkar. So definitely these three, Manu Pillai, Anshul Malhotra and Suraj Yengde, as very powerful writers and very nice prose as well. So these are definitely some of the names. And in the world of fiction, I've always enjoyed reading Amitav Ghosh and Anuradha Roy. Also, I'm a huge fan of the writing of Anuradha Roy. Vivek Kaul has a book called Bad Money, and it's a very interesting take, very accessible, because people don't understand how money works, how banks work. So it's a very nice, very accessible book on India's sort of banking issues. So Bad Money by Vivek Kaul, Rebel Sultans by Manu Pillai. And I think a lot of the nonfiction writing coming from India now is exceptionally good, making it very, very accessible, a wide and stunning range of topics. So very promising, I think, market for nonfiction books by Indian sort of writers.
Great. That's an amazing list right there, Chinmay. Thank you so much. I hope our readers take note of all these recommendations. I think this is a good enough hook to leave the readers with. And thank you so much for making time for this conversation, for giving us all your brilliant recommendations, and for telling us a little bit about, what your own sort of like thoughts on writing are and of reading are. So from my side, I think that's a sign off